Hi, guys. Welcome back to my channel, the most triggering show on healing. So, today I want to do a video about the uselessness of popular healing advice. And we've all heard so many of this um, throughout the internet and also from well meaning people around us. And why I'm going to explain why they're actually pretty useless. So let's dive into the first one. The first one is going to be, and you've heard this many times, letting go. How many times have you been told that you are hung up on something that happened in the past, whether it be a person or a situation, and then you're told, oh, just let it go. Just let it go. It is not affecting you anymore. Just, you can just pretend that doesn't bother you, or you just need to move forward and just let it go. So how many times have you been told to do that, but it actually doesn't work? And I'm going to explain why it doesn't work. So let me just share with you what is actually going on when you're hanging on to certain memories in your energy system. So let's say that you have, so we're going to draw you today, and you are, let's say you're carrying some kind of memory from the past, and we're going to make this into a little piece of luggage here. So you're holding on to something from the past, and you're being told that you need to take this and then you need to drop it so that it goes from, well, now I feel like I'm writing Chinese. So you're dropping it onto the ground so that uh you would be without it, and then you can go on your merry way without this piece of luggage, and you can just leave it behind. But as you know, this never works because you don't actually let it go. When you move forward, what you do is you you move forward, but you actually carry everything with you. So it is still there. You can try to pretend it's not there, but it's still there. Letting go is when people think that you can just, well, let me draw a different representation. They think letting go isn't what you carry, it's actually in your mind somewhere. So in your thoughts, you have a piece of luggage that you haven't let go of, and that they want you to just drop this luggage so that it's no more, that we put it in the trash. But it doesn't work like that, and I don't have to explain it to you really, because how many times have anyone actually succeeded letting go? If that was actually something that we could do, every healer and therapist would be out of business today. So it doesn't actually work. But people say this because they think that this luggage is sitting inside their memory, inside their brain, and they think they can just delete the file, delete the file, delete the file. Um, but you can try to do that. What people try to do is they'll try to, let's say, they'll try to push. So this is their thoughts. They try to push this luggage. Again, I feel like I'm writing Chinese. I keep wanting to write the word for West, but so they try to push the luggage out of their thought pattern, thinking that they can just drop it, and then they can and then they could just move forward with being happy. But it doesn't work because this luggage is not sitting in a cloud storage somewhere that you can just push away or delete. So that's the uselessness of the first piece of advice of letting go. Let me clear this page. And the second thing that people are told to do, which is pretty useless, is called be in the present moment. Now, let's go back to our analogy. You have you in today's manifestation right here. And the idea is that you are, so let's say this is your past, and this is where all your problems are located. And this is the future, and this is where future problems are located. And the solution is that apparently we're living somewhere either here in the form of, we would say, in the form of, what is the word? I know that in the future this manifests as anxiety. I don't know what it is for the past, or something like not letting go. Let's just say not letting go. And then people think, well, if you're living from here, you just have to go here. Or if you're living in the future, you just have to bring yourself back here. But again, what happens is that your luggage, is still there. The whatever you are carrying is still there. Um, all of that, like no matter what time you bring yourself back and forth into, it's all still there. So when you're in the present moment, why that is useless is because the present moment includes, sorry, this is so illegible, everything that you haven't healed. That's why it's so futile. The present moment includes everything that you haven't healed. So to say that people think you just return to the present moment and it's magical, and where you're being stuck is somewhere in the future or in the past, you just have to get back here and then you'll be happy again. No, your present moment, it includes that this is all the stuff that you haven't healed. So no matter where you go, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. You can't outrun your fears. You cannot outrun them just by pushing your mind to go into the present moment. A lot of people say, oh, you just have to breathe and be still and be in the present, and all your problems will feel, they don't, are gone, or they're not as triggering. But what happens when you get out of that temporary, temporary suspense of sorry, temporary suspense of of uh, of, let's say, fear or negativity. Once you're done with the temporary suspense, you're back to the same. You're back to the same with all these things you haven't healed. And again, it's because the present moment includes everything you haven't healed. So that's why when people say, oh, you just got to be in the present moment, that's another piece of useless healing advice. And let's run through yet another called forgive. Why this is a useless piece of advice. Now, it may be helpful temporarily so that you can calm any sense of anger, resentment, any kind of intense outbursts or anything like that. Yes, it works. Everything, all of this works in the moment, but they're not long-term solutions. So the reason for forgiveness is, so let's say you have a grudge. You're holding a grudge, and we're going to make this into a different color. You're holding a grudge, and we're going to say the grudge is like this. You're holding a grudge. And then you're supposed to quell the grudge in some way so that you're no longer affected by it. But how do you get from here to here? And that's where people say, well, you got to do a bunch of forgiveness work. Forgiveness work means that this exists. If this didn't exist, there's no forgiveness work. So you're always going to be working within this. How do you deal with this grudge so that you go from here to here? The idea is you just somehow you soothe it or talk yourself out of it or delete it in some way. But how exactly do you do that? What is the protocol that gets you to remove this energy disturbance from here to here? There's no protocol for that. And so that's why when people say, oh, you just need to forgive them, this is what it looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like. Forgive what? Let me do this. Forgive means forgive means that you still carry the grudge. Because if the grudge wasn't there, there's no point in forgiving. There's nothing to forgive. That's why when people say forgive, it's always because this disturbance exists. When the disturbance still exists, to me, that means they're not healing. When a person is able to, and via healing, to get produce a state where there's no grudge, then there's no healing. I mean, there's no forgiveness. What is there to forgive? You only need to forgive because of the existence of the disturbance. So that's why forgiveness work means not healing. Now, I know I'm running through all of this very quickly, but this just gives you an overview of the point that I want to make, that popular healing advice is actually pretty useless. And I'm going to do another one, and that is, let me clear this page. We're going to say, now I talked about being positive in the first podcast. So I'm not going to repeat myself today with that. You can go back to listen to, well, actually, no, let us do that. Being positive. Why that is a useless in the long term. Maybe temporarily it might work, but in the long term, it doesn't do anything. So this is going to be the same model as before, where we had the forgiveness. Why does a person need to be positive? It's because they're being disturbed by lack of positivity. Because this is their current state of being, now they're trying to create this. But the reason you need to create this is because you're disturbed. Always the goal includes not healing. If your goal is to be positive, here, the goal always includes, well, I'm not going to say always, includes not healing, because to avoid healing, people do all this stuff, being positive, letting go, forgiveness. The goal, whatever your goal you have, whether it's being positive or whether it's to forgive or let go, it always includes not healing. So again, why is being positive such a useless, futile healing advice? Is because you only need to be positive because you're not. So how do you go from here to here? It's not just from brainwashing yourself. But people think that you can just brainwash your way into being positive. It doesn't work like that. And I don't have to tell you again, because you probably already did it and it didn't work. Okay. Here's another. We're going to say that this is called sending love. People love to say this, but it's absolutely does nothing. So sending love means Um, so you have, let's say you have a disturbance or some kind of distortion here in your belly, and then you're gonna use your mind to send, okay, I'm gonna slow down a little bit and draw a little better, send love to this part of you so that you can use your thoughts to cure yourself. Again, temporary. These are things that will soothe you, but what's actually going on with the belly? If we take a magnifying glass and we look at the disturbance inside the belly, it's going to have an entire, how should I draw this? It's going to have an entire architecture to the way that it is. And this is just a very conceptual depiction. It could have a structure that looks kind of like this, or maybe something different. And how is you sending love going to break up all of these distortions? Your thoughts are not precise or specific enough to break down these complexities, and maybe these complexities lead to elsewhere in your, I don't know, your throat or something. And then we have further complexities here. Again, this is not a factual model of what energy distortion looks like, but it's just an idea. You're sending thoughts, maybe it makes you feel better on the surface, just like on the surface right here, makes you feel a little bit better. But meanwhile, underneath, all this is still happening. All this is still happening. So again, sending love includes not healing, because you only need to send love because you're not healing. If you were healing, is there any point to sending love? If you were healing, this is gone, that's gone. So is there a point to sending healing if all of your energy distortions are gone? That's gone. Oops. Is there any point to sending love? I didn't mean to do that. Is there any point to sending love if you have no energy distortions? So that's what I mean. Sending love, all these things includes not healing. You only need to do this stuff because you're not actually dealing with the problem at hand. Okay. Now, here's another, which is to talk about your feelings. So let's say you have, this is your current state, and you have some kind of, again, some kind of, let's say you have a heartbreak, you have some kind of disturbance here. And then the popular advice is for you to talk about it. But what does talking about it do? It's just languaging, interpreting this and putting it into English. Again, let's say we have a conceptual model that the energy distortion looks something like this, and there's like some kind of something about it that is leading to cause you pain and suffering. What is this going to do for this? Again, the talking includes, again, it's maybe temporarily it helps, but at the end, after the talking, you still got to do the healing. You still got to do the healing. So the talking, like in language, it doesn't address the fundamental issue, which is that you have a distortion in your energy system. Talking about it doesn't do anything. Same thing with crying. Let me draw the Oh, that's so sad. Okay, so when you're crying, you are expressing, you're expressing in physical form instead of verbal. It's now physical. This would be verbal. You're still expressing a physical emotion, but still, you still need to address the energy distortion that's happening inside your energy system. Talking and crying, it's not that it doesn't help. It does help temporarily, but on the long term, it's not a healing protocol. Okay. And then here's another. You could probably do this all day. So here's another called Name Your Feelings, because apparently naming your feelings is supposed to heal you. Now you're going to start to see that this is a pattern of, after a while, I'm going to be talking about and repeating myself a little bit. Naming your feelings. So again, let's say you have a heartbreak and you have a disturbance here. Naming your feelings means you're going to call it uh, grief, sadness, heartbreak. Now, what does this do? Pretty much after you name your feeling, healing comes to a stop. 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 It stops. Because what is the next action? There is no next action. You name it. Okay, so what? You have heartbreak, so what? What is the next action? There is no next action. Underneath what you call, and again, we're using English to name your emotions. Underneath this is the same energy distortion, is the same structure, dis, dysfunctionality going on that naming it doesn't do anything. What does it do? You still got to deal with the actual energy distortion that's causing the grief. Okay. Naming your feelings equals healing didn't even begin. And I know there's certain healing methods that involve naming your emotions. As long as you can name them, you're only dealing with the facade. Naming is the facade. It's only what you can interpret using your mind, using the English. What you're actually dealing with is a complex energy distortion that's creating the grief that needs to be dealt with and that which can't be named. Okay. I've got one more for you. And that's going to be uh, this is called Don't Let It Get to You. How many times have you heard this before? So, don't let it get to you means conceptually, they're saying that there's these outside disturbances. Well, let me do it differently. There's these outside disturbances. And if they had their way, they would infiltrate your energy system in some way and bother you. This is all stuff that bothers you. Somebody said something, someone cut you off in traffic, uh, a family member was criticizing you, whatever it may be. And the suggestion or the advice that people give is you have to protect yourself so that nothing can get to you. So let's not talk about whether this is even a valid protocol, whether, meaning whether it actually works in real life. Let's just say that the reason why you need protection is because you have plenty of distortions on your own. And one more is going to tip you over the edge and send you into panic attacks, meltdowns, depression, and send you over the edge. And why is a person's energetic state like this? It's because they're not healing. Okay. Now, this and let's talk about whether this barrier is even actually valid. I would say no, because if this was valid, why would you need to make it into a thing? Don't let it get to you means this isn't working. You only say it's like having a security system at your house and you turn it on and then you're like, don't let them come in. Well, why would you even need to think that if the security system was working? Or you locked the door to your house and then you're like, don't let them come in. Well, isn't your door locked? If your door is locked, why would you need to say, don't let them come in? So the fact that you're saying don't let it get to you means these kinds of borders, they don't exist. They don't exist. And again, I don't have to tell you, you probably already tried it and it doesn't work. So let's talk about the other side of this, which is that you have, I'm just trying to make sure I use, okay. So you have you, and then why you are triggered by, okay, let me go back to this model here. Why you are triggered is because you've got this that's threatening to come from the outside. You can see it coming. People are getting upset, getting on your nerves. So this is building up. Why does this trigger you? Assuming that your border, I don't know, works or doesn't work, but why does this trigger you? That's because there's something in you that is matching. This reminds you of this. If it didn't remind you of this, there would be no trigger. Triggers are reminders. Okay. I have an extra I here. So triggers are reminders. If you didn't have this, this wouldn't trigger you. So think about how useless this advice is. Don't let it get to you. It's already in you. We don't even have to say this because it's already in you. Don't let it get to you. It's already in you. Hello. So that's why that advice is futile. Now, if you were to be healed and there's disturbance coming from the outside, there's nothing that matches. There's nothing that matches. So what would happen? You don't care. You don't care. There's going to be disturbances everywhere just by the nature of our life on earth with others. There's constantly going to be disturbances, but if there's no match within you, who cares? It's just like mosquitoes. They're just mosquitoes. So, and then more to it, if you had no disturbances within you, what would be the point of setting up a barrier? There's no point. There's no point because it's a non-starter. They go the other way, maybe, perhaps. And there's just no need for borders or anything. So that is the very quick explanation of why the most popular healing advice is useless. Again, maybe they work temporarily, but not on the long term. And certainly they have nothing to do with healing. So if you want to learn how to heal yourself, I am teaching that right now. Learn to heal. And you can go to my website. I'm going to spell it out here. Whoops. Here goes that. Okay, so you can go to my website and you'll see there is an application form. I am taking students by application only, and I will teach you the strategy and also the technical understanding of how energy works so that you can heal yourself, no matter if it's a physical issue, or if it's an emotional issue, an energy issue, a psychological issue, whatever it is. It's one technique to heal everything, pretty much, almost everything. And it's a 5 hour private class over 4 sessions. And by the end of it, you will be able to have solid skills on how to address the distortions with your energy system, how to break down some of these complex structures that are happening so that you can begin to experience well-being and not have to resort to useless, futile, popular healing advice that doesn't do anything. So thank you very much for watching. And if you decide to apply, I would be very happy to work together with you. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.